because he stabbed Mr. Stone.
Spencer Stone stabbed 3 times last month. Standoff over at an apartment near San Diego Airport. A man in custody after firing several shots with a high-powered rifle. Nobody hurt, but no planes were allowed to land as a precaution. A young man at a California college shot and killed after a knife attack.
A male student at UC Merced started stabbing people around 8 in the morning inside the classroom and office building. Students like Joshua Gonzalez were in shock.
I saw there was multiple stab victims. I saw the suspect be apprehended on the bridge.
That bridge spans a canal that divides the campus. All 4 victims were conscious, according to campus officials, though 2 of them had to be airlifted to hospitals. One victim's father says his son heard a fight going on inside of a classroom, and when he opened the door, the suspect lunged at him, and that forced the suspect outside of the classroom.
Fox News' Jessica Rosenthal. 4 more cases of E. coli confirmed in Washington state. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Direct Eats started out as any company does with an idea. They wanted to create a place where food lovers can discover new tastes, try new foods, shop by dietary preferences, and learn about the newest local and specialty food trends. Those things were missing from the current food space. If you want to be an expert, it took tons of time, research, and money. The Direct Eats team realized that, and they were determined to change it. Today, it's a whole new world. Direct Eats is the largest online marketplace. They deliver the best food at the best prices, guaranteed. And you don't have to live in a big city. Direct Eats goes anywhere across the continental United States. If you want to send your favorite Memphis barbecue sauce to New England or Manhattan's best cookies sent all the way to Oregon, Direct Eats has you covered. They're redefining the way specialty foods are discovered and consumed, and if you're a natural and organic food lover, I hope you're hungry. Direct Eats will make you very happy. So forget the grocery store. Visit directeats.com now to save time and money. Shipping is always free. There's no membership fee and no minimum. This will change your life. That's directeats.com.
Over the death of a cop turns to anger in Illinois.
The September 1st shooting death of Fox Lake Police Lieutenant Joe Glenowitz rocked the nation's law enforcement community and the city of Fox Lake. But investigators now tell us it was suicide and the ultimate act of betrayal.
This staged suicide was the end result of extensive criminal acts that Glenowitz had been committing.
Lake County Commander George Falenko says Officer Glenowitz was being scrutinized of his management of the Fox Lake Police Explorers program, that he was stealing money, and that he was about to be caught. We're told the theft involves others who are now also part of an ongoing investigation here in Fox Lake. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Donald Trump filing paperwork in New Hampshire today, so he's on the ballot next year for the first in the nation presidential primary.
We have to take our jobs back from China, Japan, Mexico, all these places that have them. And Ben Carson is not equipped to do that. That I can tell you.
Ben Carson and Trump co-frontrunners in the latest polls. Hillary Clinton, the Democratic presidential frontrunner by far, but the latest poll finds she is having image problems.
It's a Quinnipiac poll, the first one nationally since that big Benghazi hearing, and it seems to suggest that that was a galvanizing moment, and Democrats are coming home and saying enough is enough. She's running away with the nomination, pulling away from Sanders. But independent voters are saying not so fast. They have lingering questions. Is she honest and trustworthy? 36% say yes, 60% say no. Then if you look at head-to-head matchups, she's basically losing to every Republican that's thrown up, whether it's Rubio, Trump, Bush, Carson. I mean, Carson in particular, 50% for Carson, 40% for Clinton in a direct head-to-head matchup.
Fox News' Ed Henry. Stocks closed with moderate losses, the Dow slipping 50 points. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News Radio.
WOBM News presents Ask the Senator, your chance to bring issues that affect you and the Jersey Shore straight to your representatives at the State House. The phones are open at 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions to @WOBM. Ask the Senator begins now. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Good evening, everybody. We're one day away from the elections. It's one day in the history book, and some interesting results as a result of that. Perhaps the biggest headline of Tuesday's election is a victory that contributes 2 more assembly seats to the Democratic ranks from a district that hasn't had one in a decade. Now, political observers say that special interest groups are involved. What's the rationale of targeting districts? What does vote your conscience mean in this context? Do the results portend a backlash for the next governor's race? I'd like to hear your observations on these and other issues tonight, and we encourage your questions as we welcome in one of the learned minds of the legislature, State Senator Robert Singer, whose 30th district includes Lakewood, Point Pleasant, Avon, Belmar, Bradley Beach, Brielle, Farmingdale, Howell, Lake Como, Manasquan, Seagirt, Spring Lake and Spring Lake Heights, and Wall Township. In case you're not familiar with him, let me just give you a little background. The senator serves as a Republican conference leader in the Upper House. He's a senior-ranking member of the Health, Human Services, and Senior Citizens Committee and has a seat on the Higher Education Committee. A long record of service in the Lakewood municipal government and extensive involvement in the Shore business community. Welcome in, Senator. With those kind of credentials, we're going to expect a lot out of you in the next hour.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy being here with you.
Just starting up, your gut observations about a movement of, I think it's 3 assembly seats from the Republican
maybe
side
four,
to
maybe four
to the Democratic
yeah.
side. Now, this gives them, from what I understand, the largest amount of representation in the assembly since 1979, and 2 of those seats are in a district that had had 2 Democrats in Panter and Mike Panter and his counterpart, whose name is escaping me at the moment, but he was a doctor, 10 years ago, and not since then.
Well, first of all, the 2 seats that, besides the ones in Monmouth County, one is from all the way down in the Cape May County area. That was a split district. The senator was a Democrat. The other assembly person was a Democrat. So that was a tough seat to hold anyway. It was a split district. And the senator down there is very popular, Senator Van Drew, who I know quite well. The other district was Princeton all the way up into Somerset County. That's Kip Bateman's district. Donna Summers it's a close race there. She may lose, but that district was gerrymandered up a little bit, had a large Democratic contingent. That's those 2, but let's get to the main one in Monmouth County. Mm-hmm. The Monmouth County, the 11th district, and by the way, I thought, and I'm a good friend of and really have the most amount of respect for Mary Pat Angelini, does a fabulous job. Caroline Casagrande is a wonderful attorney, bright young woman, and was the only all-women legislative team in the legislature. So, and having lost an election, I understand a little bit about that. So I've been down that road. The 11th district had approximately 10,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans. So it was always a tough district as such. Jen Beck, who's a senator there, very popular, and always was a strong vote getter. This was a low voter turnout. The Democrats did a better job. They got their vote out. There is some sense of the anti-incumbency a little bit, no question about it. But with low voter turnout and money being poured in, a lot of money was spent in the district by special interest groups who felt they could possibly take the seat. And based on the demographics, it was viable, and took it. Do I think they're going to hold it? Yet to be seen, but... The
question is, what do you do with it now that you've got it?
Well, can I tell you one thing? When I first got elected in the Assembly years ago, we had 50-some-odd members. Very cumbersome, believe it or not. It's not as easy as you think. You got a lot of people and a lot of different views, and it's difficult to get things done. It's not veto-proof. They still can't override the governor without help there. The governor's still a Republican, and you got a tough 2 years ahead of us. So I'm optimistic that district will come back to where it belongs. I think again, just in a low voter turnout, the Democrats did a better job and turned out the vote. I don't think it was a mandate on the Republican Party, and I don't think it was a mandate on those individuals in all 4 districts.
No, I don't think it was. I couldn't see a mandate on those 2, especially those 2 individuals, because they have done their reputations. They built them, and
well, there's some pretty. Look, I've been through a lot of campaigns, and I had the closest elections in the state for 2 terms in a row, and I've been in knockdown, drag-out fights, and I outspent 2 and 3 to 1. They get nasty. I mean, they infer that for example, in the case of Mary Pat Angelini, that there is something wrong in what she does. The woman is a wonderful woman who works for nonprofit groups that she's the executive director of, that work and help young people that have drug and alcohol problems and get them help and this and that. I mean, they're not making millions off of that. That money's going to exactly providing those services, and she does a great job. I mean, you want to make it sound like it's something wrong, it's a mistake. But unfortunately, that's politics.
Now, people forget that she was at Prevention First long before she ever entered politics.
She was at Prevention First and behavioral health. Bill Setti, who was a wonderful individual I was very close with, retired, and she took that over and ran both those things. And they do wonderful work in helping young people and other people throughout the counties. We have a lot of problems in the state with this, as you know. We've been fighting heroin overdoses and deaths. We've been working on those things. Her group is part of that. They've done work for the County Board of Health in the past, way before she was part of that, in helping going into the schools and counseling and talking to young people. So if that's a negative, I give up. But again, you can twist anything and turn anything you want to do. So look, the victor goes the spoils. They won their victory, and it's yet to see what happens in the future.
So this really, in your estimation, has nothing. You said anti-incumbency. You're talking about Republicans in general, or Governor Christie in specific?
Well, I think there's been some. You've seen the governor's numbers in the state have not been particularly high. Some of these, if you look at that district, they represent some of the short towns. There has been some, and in some cases, rightfully so, some animosity concerning the Sandy recovery and what hasn't happened. And there are a lot of families suffering out there. I mean, people think that everything is okay with Sandy. It's not. There are literally thousands of families that are still displaced, that still haven't been able to rebuild, that are still living on second floors of their homes, who still haven't gotten the money, who still have other problems dealing with the Sandy recovery. And to think that everything is fine and hunky-dory a couple of years later, it's just absolutely wrong.
The district that you're talking about has a way of moving back and forth. And you mentioned that it's kind of districted that way. Do we have another one of those coming up, by the way, or are we away from that for a while?
We're way away from it. We're 6 years away from redistricting.
Okay, good.
So we've got a long time to go on that.
All right. Now, with regard to Senator Beck, you've never been in a split district, but you have seen them.
Well, I was in a split district. When I first was elected, the senator for the district, it was the old 10th district, was John Russo, and the assemblyman was John Paul Doyle and me. Right. So the other two were Democrats and I was Republican. So I was in a split district for 2 terms for 4 years. So, and remember at the time, John Russo was Senate president. So they had plenty of money and plenty of staff compared to a little assemblyman from Ocean County. So been down that road, done it.
So from that experience and thinking back through the years there and taking a look at that, does this increase the level of difficulty for Senator Beck to be effective with two? Well, does she have to find a way to work with 2 Democrats?
First of all, after election, everybody goes to work. We're all here to serve the state, and Senator Beck is no different than else. I work with my counterparts, whether they're from the other party or not, and she will also. Senator Beck is very popular in that district with both Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, and I know she will work well with anybody. But I feel very comfortable knowing that in 2 years from now, when she's up for election, when she runs for re-election, she will have 2 outstanding assembly candidates with her, and she'll do very well. And I think, again, the proof is in the pudding. Senator Beck unseated Democratic Senator Karcher at the time, after serving a term. Jen Beck won very well. So the answer is Jen Beck's a great senator, and I thought she had 2 good assembly people, but for other reasons they're not there. But I'm confident that district will come back on the R side next election.
And the rest of the shore remains rock-ribbed Republican, doesn't it?
Well, basically in Ocean County, we Little Leg had a little issue there, and there was some infighting going on, and you saw Brick, and there were some good candidates. There were some faux pas that happened at some point in there, but again. I think basically Ocean County, under the leadership of George Gilmore, did an excellent job. And they returned the freeholders and the clerk, who I think do a great job, and all the legislators who I've had the pleasure of working with for many years that I think are outstanding. We are really the Essex County of the Republican Party. Essex County is the largest Democratic legislative districts We are. We have 4 senators that represents parts of Ocean County, and we have 8 assembly people.
So are people, we only have a minute, but are people voting their conscience, or are they voting out of obligation? What's really going on?
I think to some extent people are frustrated. I don't blame them. We have a lot of issues that have not been addressed, and that's because how the legislature split up, with the governor being a Republican and both houses being Democrat. It's very difficult to govern. And I think that very, very honestly, the poor voter turnout, which you saw is very low, is in frustration in general with government.
You have a lot of good bills that you're working on right now, and we want to talk about them when we come back. So let's get to that. We welcome your calls, too, on Ask the Senator with Senator Robert Singer. Stick around.
More of Ask the Senator coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hi, this is Paul Rotella, President of the New Jersey Broadcasters Association. Our friends at Jersey Central Power & Light, JCP&L, want to remind you that it's important to notify your utility company should you lose power. That's why JCP&L has a number of tools to help you stay connected, including texts, alerts, apps, and a mobile website. Customers can also report an outage on the JCP&L Facebook page. Don't wait for the next storm to register your account with your utility company. Go to jcp-l.com for more information. This message sponsored by Jersey Central Power & Light, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Are you ready for some savings? Really big savings? Well, right now, choose from over 125 nearly new Nissans. Liquidation price at Sansone Jr.'s 66 Auto Mall in Neptune and Sansone Jr.'s Easy Auto Center in Keyport. Find off-lease and off-rental Nissans, including certified pre-owned. Save thousands on Maxima, Murano, Rogue, and Sentra. Get a 2015 Nissan Versa with only 834 miles for just $12,966. Choose from dozens of Nissan Altimas with 2015s starting at just $17,966. Save up to $10,000 off original MSRP with financing as low as 0.9%. And don't worry if your credit is less than perfect. Sansone Juniors can get you guaranteed credit in 15 minutes or less. Now, are you ready for some savings? Hurry to the nearly new Nissan liquidation. Going on now at Sansone Juniors Easy Auto Center in Keyport or Sansone Juniors 66 Auto Mall in Neptune. For details, call 855-66 Auto Mall or shop online at 66automall.com.
If you're looking to replace or upgrade your kitchen or bath countertops, you might wonder, why go to Stone & Counter South in Bayville? Well, here's why. Their stone craftsmen offer the finest in custom design, grain matching, and installation of your granite, quartz, travertine, or rich marble counter. And from template to installation, your beautiful new countertop can be finished in 3 to 5 days. Visit their showroom at 245 Hickory Lane in Bayville. Call 732-269-9600 or browse stone samples anytime online at stoneandcountersouth.com.
Your voice can be heard at the State House. Call 732-505-1160 or tweet your question at WOBM. This is Ask the Senator. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Welcome back, Tom Angeli, and our guest tonight in the town square is State Senator Bob Singer. We hope you'll give us a call and let us know what you thought about the election turnout last night. And your thoughts about where the state's going in the future, because he's really plugged into this. You're plugged into a lot of things, and I just want to, in this span, just want to get into a couple of the bills that I've noticed that you're working on that come across my desk. One of them is part of a growing trend, and it has to do with energy supply. There is an entire industry that's built now around third-party energy suppliers. It started out looking a little fly-by-night. You're getting mailers and you're getting people calling you on the phone and telling you, you want to switch, and you're not sure if you're really saving anything, and you're not sure where these people are, and it's starting to come into the light a little bit more. But you have a lot to do with the accountability in this. So tell us a little bit of what you're working on.
Well, it's a scary thing for people. Somebody calls them up and says, I can save you money. And you're saying, well, but who's going to provide my energy to me? Well, we will. Well, how does it get to me? Who operates the line? And if I got a problem with my gas line, do I call you or do I call New Jersey Natural Gas? Or if I have a problem with my electricity, do I call you or JCP&L or PSE&G or whatever the case may be? Number one is it is totally legitimate. The third-party suppliers that are supplying the energy are using the lines of the current people that are servicing you. So in other words, if you change to a third-party supplier, you would see absolutely no difference in your service. And the people, if you had a problem, you'd call New Jersey Natural Gas, and you had a problem, you'd call JCP&L. Here's the real kicker, though. Are you really saving money? Is it just a short-term saving and you go back to be a higher cost? Are you really trading off? Why should not keep JCP&L or New Jersey Natural Gas in this area if they're providing things at the same price? It makes sense to keep them. So we're saying to the BPU, you've got to make sure that websites are up, that people can easily go on and understand, number one, is there a savings? Understand who's providing that energy. Are they legitimate, which they are in most cases, and very honestly, to assure them that everything is above board. And you'll be able to take a look to say, I signed up for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, how do I get out of it? And that's also a factor. If I don't like it, if I'm not saving money, how do I change back? Or if I am saving money, do I keep it? Or is there somebody else that wants to save more money? We've been doing this on the governmental level for many years. I chair the Lakewood MUA, and we go out for bid for our energy suppliers for our gas and our electricity all the time. And we group it with other people in the area, and we go out for bid. We do a bid each year, and therefore we contract for our energy.
And it's a lower cost because
lower
it's
cost,
yeah.
we group together.
Yeah.
So in essence, third-party suppliers are very viable. It's something being done all the time. The public should be able to tap into it easily. You should be able to feel assured that the people you're dealing with are legitimate. If they're on the BPU website, they would be legitimate. BPU is going to require them to be able to give you all the information you need to make an educated choice, to save money, and to be assured that you're going to be getting your energy safely and proficiently to your home.
How is it dealing with the Board of Public Utilities? I mean, from my vantage point, I've never seen a rate increase that they had an argument with. I mean, it's a rare case when a New Jersey Natural Gas, they're one of the leaders in dropping the rates because they know how to buy. And, they did it again. But I don't get the sense of an agency that's in any hurry to get anything done.
Well, there's always frustration with the BPU. They try to do a good job. But our frustration really is I provide water at about 35 to 40% cheaper than private purveyors. That's important. That saves money to the ratepayers. Only 1/3 of my town of Lakewood is under our utilities. The rest is a private purveyor that pays a lot more. It's very difficult to say to somebody, sorry, I can't help you. You have to pay 35% more for your water. We take the profit aspect out of it. The problem is that most of the water suppliers, because by the way, MUAs are not under BPU, but the private water suppliers all are purveyors. And very, very honestly, they have a formula that they're entitled to get a fair rate of return. And when their costs go up, whether it's insurance, whether it's energy costs, they have a right to come in and do that. We may disagree with it, but that's factual. The only thing I'll tell you is all of us have the same sewer costs in Ocean County because it's strictly a pass-through. We don't make money on sewer, and whoever cost is of treating it is. So the sewer is a different aspect than the water. The biggest problem is that, we went through a lot of high energy times. They go up a lot faster than they come down, as you always know with that. We would like to, there is the Office of the Public Advocate at BPU. We're constantly in touch with them. Part of our frustration is you take a town like Howell. They've got several different water rates based on when that particular private purveyor was purchased by another company. Mm-hmm. People there are paying outrageous amounts of money. A lot of them are on fixed income. I wish I could get a better handle on it. I wish I had a better answer. I don't. But very, very honestly, it's a tough issue, and no one likes to see increases. We try to fight them best we can, but there are certain legalities, and if they have legitimate expenses, they're entitled to make a fair rate of return, whether we like it or not. So that's part of the frustration. No one likes giving rate increases, but in some cases they just have no choice.
Where is that bill of yours right now? Is it out of committee yet, or?
It's out of committee. It's waiting to be voted on by the legislature. We're hoping to get it done before the end. We close out the early part of January, and everything dies and starts all over again. We're hoping there'll be a number of sessions, none in November, but in December of both houses into the early part of January. Maybe the bill will come out.
In being a Republican, being basically in the smaller group of the two, in either house, what's the level of difficulty for getting a bill through? Because it's going to wind up in front of a Democratic senator anyway, who's going to decide whether or not it's going to get a vote.
Well, I've had a good relationship on both sides of the aisle. I am the conference chairman. And very, very honestly, I don't have that problem. Good legislation is good legislation, and I think that 99% of legislators after election time go back to work and do the work of the state. So good legislation makes it. The problem is there are anywhere from 14 to 16,000 bills introduced every session. A session for the legislature is every 2 years. The bill doesn't make it to the end of that 2-year period. They die and have to start all over again. And very honestly, only a couple hundred bills are signed into law. So it's the volume of it. It's a lot of stars have to line up right. So I've been fairly successful. I get a fair amount of bills passed every session. But it's work in progress. And I think the best example is the graduated driver's license, which was my bill originally, as you know. Took me 5 years to get through.
5 years?
Yeah.
I want to get to that and a couple of other bills that you currently are cooking on. We're going to be right back. It's State Senator Bob Singer on Ask the Senator. Stick around. We have more of this on the way.
Let the State House know what's on your mind. Call 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
This is Marianne Levy, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Broadcast from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Preferred is there to help you. Preferred Home Healthcare with feeling.
The Jersey Shore's news leader. Listen online at WOBMAM.com, on the Radio Pup app for smartphones and tablets, and on air at 1160 and 1310.
News Talk Radio, WOBM.
Stays on the warm side the next couple of days. We gradually cool off into the weekend. Tonight's low eventually down to about 50. We'll see some areas of fog and drizzle, result of all the added warmth. Clouds mixed with sun with showers becoming possible in the afternoon, a high of about 70. Friday, cloudy, spring-like warmth rolls on, mid-70s. And then cooler Saturday with a generally cloudy sky to start the weekend, highs up in the lower 60s. I'm meteorologist Mark Thibodeau from the Weather Channel.
1160 and 1310, WOBM.
It's all too much. Money's tight, and I just don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage.
Hey, you're not alone. I was almost in foreclosure until I got help from a housing counselor near me. They're free, all over New Jersey, and they can help you get the facts and understand your options.
What's a housing counselor, and what's it going to cost me?
Housing counselors are experts in foreclosure prevention. They know all about state and federal programs. They sat down with me for over an hour and helped me find a solution that was best for me and my family. They're certified by the government, so I could trust that it wasn't some kind of scam. And best of all, my consultation was absolutely free.
Okay, I'm in. How can I find a housing counselor near me?
Go to njhousing.gov/foreclosure to get a list of housing counselors.
Hold on, what's that website again?
It's njhousing.gov/foreclosure.
This message sponsored by the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Do you have $10,000 or more in outstanding federal student loans? Well, you may qualify to have your entire student loan forgiven with one free call. That's right. If you're a teacher, nurse, police officer, firefighter, or work for a nonprofit, then you may qualify for new federal programs to have your entire student loan forgiven. The Student Loan Council wants to give you free information on all the programs that can help, and the sooner you call, the faster they can help. Get the maximum loan forgiveness, loan reduction, or consolidation available. Plus, find out in the first free call what you qualify for. A loan forgiveness specialist is standing by to answer all of your questions for free. So stop worrying about your student loan payments. If you have more than $10,000 in federal student loans, this information could change your life. Call 800-579-4409. 800-579-4409. Completely wipe out your federal student loan debt. Find out how. 800-579-4409. That's 800-579-4409.
From Ocean County to the State House. Talk to your senator right now. 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions to @WOBM. Ask the Senator on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. State Senator Bob Singer is our guest tonight, and we're taking your calls at 732-505-1160. And we're discussing a few of the bills that he's got in progress. We're looking at some of the problems that the state faces a little bit later, like the Transportation Trust Fund. Ask everybody who comes in about the Transportation Trust Fund. You're not getting away with it.
Okay.
'Cause
I don't hide from problems.
I know you don't. But I want to. There was one thing that I noticed in looking over the legislation that you sponsored, and I can have a personal tie to it because it's the COPD task force. And I'm a very close relative with this, so I've lived with it. I understand it not from internally, but from dealing with it. And I really didn't know that it rose to the level of a legislative task force. What is it you want them to do?
Well, first of all, this is a very serious disease. It affects many New Jerseyans. And as you know, we're an aging population state. Everybody else thinks it's connected to someone smoking. It doesn't have to be. Someone who has emphysema, someone who's had other issues, certainly have this respiratory problem. And very, very honestly, we don't think we're doing enough for it. We want to make early detection viable. We want to make sure that the latest technologies are available to people. People can know where they can go to seek proper help, and that we can bring dollars into the state also for research on this. If you know someone who has this disease, and you do, you know that it makes basic functions very difficult. And
it turns a flight of stairs into an impossibility.
Exactly right. And we just feel that there hasn't been enough attention paid to it, and we have to do more as a state on this. And this task force, under the guidance of the Department of Health, will start to take this serious issue more at hand and help many of the people afflicted with this in our state.
In addition to that, in looking over the bills, one of the things that struck me is that there's a very strong court of human rights in what you do. One group of bills would expand statutes that address domestic violence, and you're also the author of legislation that would stiffen the penalties for people who victimize autistic individuals, and that's based on the Manasquan incident.
Well, it's more than autistic, it's special needs in general. Autistic was the case, the Manasquan case, which is a horrific situation. You know, I'm very fortunate. Senate President Sweeney and I take this issue very seriously, and he was very gracious. It's a Singer-Sweeney bill. It passed the Senate, and hopefully will take action next month in the Assembly. His daughter is special need. My nephew's special needs. So we're family members that understand. And you know, this horrific situation in Manasquan, where a young man was taken advantage of by two young men that knew him. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the way laws are written right now, this crime couldn't rise to the point where the prosecutor did anything about it. It just didn't fit anything. So therefore, it couldn't go to Superior Court and had to remain in municipal court, which is the bottom rung of justice. And as you know, municipal court judges do a great job, and they deal with traffic, and they deal with squabbles between neighbors, and they deal with inspection problems and things like that. But it's not a jury trial. It's limited to what they can do, and they're going to hear a trial, it's a trial in front of a judge. It's not in front of a jury on this case because the judge has ruled that he didn't want to accept a plea bargain. It's always the prerogative of the judge. But the strange thing, usually in municipal court, plea bargains are accepted to speed through things. But I think the family and the general public want more than just a plea bargain in this issue. So we took this incident, this terrible incident, and said, how do we make it better? And through the leadership, and I got to give credit's due to Senator Sweeney, Senate President Sweeney, we brought together all the groups that are involved, the autistics groups, the ARCs, all the groups that deal with special needs and special issues, and said, look, we want to craft a piece of legislation, but we don't want to make people afraid to be friendly with and deal with special needs people.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense, if something happens, I'll be blamed for it. So we kind of crafted a piece of legislation that stiffened the penalties, but didn't say that if something happens, if you're playing baseball as a special needs person and you get hit by a ball, it isn't your fault because why were you playing baseball? Type of thing. We don't want to do that. We don't want to demonize the relationship people have with special needs young people and or older people and understand it. That's fine, and you're not held accountable for anything that might happen. So we work with the groups. We crafted we think a good piece of legislation. They're all supporting. All the special needs groups are behind it. And incidents like this will go where it belongs, not really and that's not making any inference from municipal court doesn't do a great job. This really belongs in Superior Court, which gives the authority, the clout, the else more needed than it does in municipal court.
Let me go out on a limb here and just look at it from the other side. Do you run any risk of these two guys are in a difficult situation now because they weren't thinking, obviously, but do we run the risk of vilifying people like that who it was really more maybe carelessness? We don't know that it was vindictive.
Well, we can say that because it ended okay.
Yeah.
But keep in mind is this young man jumped into the water.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that they're overboard on that one. This young man could have just as easily drowned. The water was cold. He could have gotten a cramp. Were they going to jump in and save him? I doubt that.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is that this was a very horrific incident of someone they knew. He was not a stranger to them. He had a social relationship with them, and they were old enough to know better. So there's a lot of issues in this that go past that. This wasn't just two kids walking down the street and seeing a kid not knowing who he was and saying, "Oh, you want to make some cigarettes? Jump in the water." This is someone they knew, someone they had a relationship with, someone that he considered to be their friends, taking advantage of him and could have caused a serious harm to that young man. And very honestly, according to his mother, have left some scars on that. So the answer is, it's more horrific. Fortunately, it wasn't a tragedy, but it was an horrific situation. And you're right. You've got to balance what you have to do with this, but there has to be some accountability for people's actions. They were old enough to be accountable for their actions.
Now, domestic violence presents a whole separate issue. It's victim and perpetrator again, but there's a lot more. It's a lot more vindictive.
Well, you and I both know that unfortunately, in many cases of divorce, people use domestic violence. They cry wolf because it's a way that immediately gets someone out of the house, immediately makes them the villain. The problem is that domestic violence is a very serious crime, and puts a lot of women at risk. And unfortunately, as you've seen in the past, that risk can end up in death or bodily harm. And we have to make sure that anyone that ever thinks about it, it knows that we take it very seriously and that they will be punished to the fullest extent of the law. So we want to toughen some of that. We want to make sure that people understand something. Domestic violence is not tolerated in any form or way, and that the individual will be protected by the state, and not too late, or we should have. We want to do it early on. And understand is if you're going to even think about it, you're going to pay the piper for it. So I think that's an issue. That's a family issue. Something that's important to all of us, and keeping people safe and not in harm's way is something we have a responsibility to do.
Let's ask the senator for the month of November, and Senator Bob Singer is our guest tonight. The Singer-Sweeney bill regarding special needs people, a reactive bill. But when you really think about it, a lot of bills are reactive. I mean, you can't really count many bills as being proactive. They're not anticipating a problem. They're usually addressing a problem. Some legislators go to think tanks and buy ideas, because some ideas just seem to drop out of the sky. Nobody was even thinking about it, and all of a sudden it's an issue. What's your process? How do you go about formulating something that you're going to stand behind and say, this is something strong enough for me to believe in that I want to sponsor it?
Well, I think there's a couple of paths we take. One is, of course, when something happens, we take a look at it. Why did it happen? Part of the problem in trend is everybody runs to fix things right away. You can't rush to do things. In this particular case, in the Manasquan situation, there were a half a dozen bills introduced that did everything, but not the right stuff. And every legislator was good intent, but you got to step back, like Senator Sweeney and I did, and said, let's bring in the affected groups and let's craft something that makes the most sense, that doesn't do any harm to anybody by not allowing people to be friendly with special needs. I think that's part of the problem. We always rush to fix something right away instead of stepping back a little bit and taking a look at the effect. And that's why a lot of legislation goes through and we have to fix it later. That's number one. Number two is it's people calling up and saying, I've got a problem. And I don't know what to do. You'd be surprised at how that has created legislation for us. And very honestly, that's what happened to the graduated driver's license. I had a young woman come to me from Jackson whose daughter got her driver's license at 17, had virtually no experience behind the wheel, took the car out on a Sunday morning to go to the grocery store, and we don't know whether an animal ran in front of the car or she was bending down to do something in the car and lost control and got killed. And said, my daughter didn't have enough time behind the wheel. When I questioned her, she said, I got my license from the state of New Jersey. I do. There has to be a better way. And we took a look at it. We just didn't go out and say, oh, let's do it. We put together a task force from the Highway Safety Council, Police Chiefs Association, Teachers Association, Driving Schools Association, insurance companies, and the Department of Transportation. And we sat down and took a look at other states, what they were doing. We took a look statistically what it was doing. We looked at the number one killer of young people was auto accidents. We looked at what the problems were, what the hours were. And then we went around to high schools throughout the district, all of us. And we sat there at 3 o'clock when school ended and saw people get in their cars and do every crazy thing. And we talked to young groups of people, young adults, and talked about what they saw and what they didn't see. And we crafted a piece of legislation based on that. Now, believe it or not, it took a lot of years to get through. Why? I tell people, do you know why a lot of legislators didn't want to vote for it? Why would you think a legislator wouldn't want to vote for the graduated driver's license? It did several great things. 3 great things it did. Number 1, it saved lives.
Mm-hmm.
What's more important than saving the life of a young person? Number 2, it had less bodily injuries, making people, keeping people safer. And the third thing, which was not the main thing, but it also, at the end of X amount of years, reduced the cost of insurance to young people.
Mhm.
3 wonderful things. Who could be against that? And I say that all the time. Who's against it? The legislators were against it. Why were they against it?
I couldn't begin to guess.
Well, let me tell you why.
Is it a partisan political thing?
No. They were afraid that when these 17-year-olds became 18 and could vote,
That they
vote
wouldn't
against
vote for them.
Right. So we struggled getting a piece of legislation through that made the most sense. That, by the way, now everyone takes credit for it. There's 32 people that tell you that it was my bill. It was Mel Cottrell and Joe Malone's in the lower house. We passed it. We had it signed into law. We worked on it and everything else. They've all tried to. They did the license plate stamps. They've done a lot of playing around with it. But the whole bill and the concept was our legislation. Governor Whitman signed into law. But the key factor was you never know where you're going to be opponents from. And the opponents were the own legislators figuring if they voted for it, they'd be voted out of office. So I can only tell you is not everything goes overnight. Not everything makes sense, happens right away. You have to be diligent in it. You have to be persuading people to understand it and do it. But in many cases it prevails. I will tell you that that's probably the 2 ways. And as I said to you, times change. We have to rethink things. You can't do the same thing the same old way. You've got to rethink. And you have to look at ideas that didn't work in the past, will they work in the future. So keeping an open mind is important, too, as a legislator.
Is that tendency to look at a bill as the potential to drive away or to attract votes? Is that the kind of thinking that's gone on with the gas tax, which everybody's been circling around, but no one would talk about before elections, and now all of a sudden it's going to be an issue again?
Well, let me share with you. I voted for the gas tax.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 87, I think it was 88 or 87, Hazel Gluck was Commissioner of Transportation.
Yeah.
They had to refund it. They came to me and said, listen, what do you need to have done? I said, I need to have, at the time I represented Toms River, I need to have Route 37 West dualized, and I need to have Route 70 in Lakewood dualized. They said, well, if you vote for the gas tax, that will happen. And I did, and both those loans were dualized.
I don't think anybody would argue with you about that specific one. That's 14 cents.
Well,
but now we're talking about a lot higher.
Yeah, but let me share this to you. A lot of legislators wouldn't vote for it. Now, you and I know down the shore area
Mm-hmm.
And in Ocean County, we do not have public transportation.
Right.
We rely on our cars. And it's very tough to vote for gas tax. Here's our problem. I'm not voting for anything that doesn't benefit Ocean and Monmouth County. I'm a little selfish to say I don't care about things in other counties. We have not gotten our fair share. The road system from the state road system, think about this. We have 2 major roads that run north and south through all Ocean County. The Garden State Parkway, which they're spending money on, and Route 9.
Yeah, Route 9.
And Route 9 from Lakewood by the lake, all the way through our county, is 2 lanes.
And straight south
Right.
into Atlantic.
And every excuse in the world about how expensive it is. You know, they spend $1 million a mile for noise barriers in North Jersey, and they won't spend the money here to make us have at least some peace of mind. That's not acceptable to me.
There is some talk about widening 9 in spots. It really needs it. It's developing without the widening.
You can widen Route 9 all the way down to the Parkway in Toms River without a major problem.
You think so?
I absolutely think
it
so.
won't break the bank.
You won't break the bank. The problem is that every year that they let it go, it's just more expensive. You know, I remember years ago when we talked about rail transportation from Lakehurst using the existing lines, rail lines that are there now. We talked, the cost was $15 million. That was a lot of money. You couldn't do it. I mean, the answer is every time you turn around, it's more. They want to do another study. They want to do another study. They want to do another study. I'm tired of studies. We're all tired of studies. Let's start doing some action.
That's the senator, Senator Robert Singer. We have a few more minutes. We'll take your call. Stick around.
Let the State House know what's on your mind. Call 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Tune in and listen to Lou Skatigna, host of the Financial Physician radio program, heard every Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. following Bob and Marianne. And now here's some great news. You can now listen to each week's show on the internet for a full week after the original broadcast. Just go to WOBMAM.com or thefinancialphysician.com and hear The Financial Physician anytime you want. And be sure to join Lou Skatigna each and every Friday at 9 a.m. for The Financial Physician, right here on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Not available in California, Louisiana, and Virginia.
Listeners, do you have startup capital and want to invest in a booming business with incredible profit and growth potential? The opportunity is now because Fresh Healthy Vending, the #1 healthy vending franchise in North America, is looking for a few business-savvy, healthy-minded people right here in the local area to become Fresh Healthy Vending franchise owners. We're growing so fast that we've had hundreds of new franchise owners in the last few years alone. Now you can join them. This area has a huge demand for fresh, healthy, organic snacks on the go, and that's exactly what you'll be selling with your Fresh Healthy Vending machine. We've already identified prime high-traffic locations that are perfect for healthy vending machines. Now we just need the right people to join our franchise network and help Fresh Healthy Vending continue to boom. If this sounds like you, go to ReadyForFresh.com today and enter code 6161. We'll send you a free owner information kit. As an added bonus to new franchise owners, we'll also pay half the franchise fees. Hurry, this offer is limited. Just go to ReadyForFresh.com and enter code 6161. That's ReadyForFresh.com, code 6161.
Keep the questions coming. Call now, 732-505-1160. Follow the show on Twitter and tweet your questions at WOBM. Ask the Senator continues now on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
Coming down the home stretch with Senator Bob Singer tonight here on Ask the Senator. And we've had a fascinating look inside the State House and kind of looking at the nuts and bolts and how the gears turn. A couple of the bills that you brought up that are moving, and we talked a little bit about the limited amount of transportation we've got here at the shore. We have to talk about that gas tax and the Transportation Trust Fund just a little bit. And I asked this of everybody who's come in so far: is there any way to First of all, is there any way to fund that without raising the gas tax? Is there any thought to that? Second of all, what about this albatross called NJ Transit, which used to be private bus lines and were profitable, but then the state took them over and they continually run it in the red, and they need more money all the time. It costs a fortune to ride NJ Transit, and if you commute anywhere, you know that. So what about are these two separate universes, or is there any synchronicity here? Is there any way to shore this up? Because this is a gigantic drain on the whole state budget.
Well, as you know, the state can never do anything cheaper than the private sector. We look at that. Look at the post office compared to FedEx and UPS and everything else like that. Make nothing but money. Look, I'm not sure where we're heading. I know one thing, that I'm not considering anything unless we see exactly how Ocean and Monmouth County benefit from this. Period. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. So if they want our and we've spoken as a voice. We met with the freeholders. We met with the legislators. We met with Steve Sweeney. Came down here, met with us. And we said, listen, we you know, we're considered South Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
We're in that no man's land area. You know, some say Central, South Jersey. When do we get our fair share? And Steve Sweeney's from the South. He's from Gloucester County. We want our fair share. We want to know. I want to be able to say to voters, this is what's happening. So for me to consider something, I'm from Missouri, show me what I'm getting from it. Or I'm from Ocean County, show me what I'm getting from it. And so that's number one. We're going to have to do something. Everybody wants to take money from something else. Tell me from where. I'll vote for that. But you're taking money from schools. You're taking money from higher ed. You're taking money
from health.
From health. I mean, tell me where you're taking money. I mean,
certainly not taking it from the pension.
And as I said, when we were talking before, one of the problems we have in the state, and something we've all neglected, is the economy and how tough our state is struggling right now.
And part of that struggle is right here in your district, you know. And when you look at your district, I mean, it's like a postcard, you know. I mean, you're dealing with some of the nicest towns on the shore, and some of the hardest hit towns at the same time. Belmar, they're having a big problem just trying to get that Taylor Pavilion rebuilt.
Well, you know, I had to ask the Department of Tourism. They got a little mad at me. Last year, their budget was $9 million. They spent $6 million. How dare you leave money on the table when tourism is struggling in other areas? They claim no, they didn't have to. The tourism board, there's a board in the state, has not been fully or functional for 10 years under 3 governors. And the problem with it is that the private sector, the hotel, motel industry is more than willing to come forward, do joint advertising, do some joint programs together, and there's no one to talk to about it. We have an issue that is important to me. We've put the feet to the fire about developing an app. We have legislation to do it. They're doing it now. Why should it not be that someone comes down the shore, can't press an app and say, what are we doing tonight? Oh, there's a game at the Blue Cross. It's $8 a ticket. Here's how I get there. Or it's a cloudy day. I want to go down to see the aquarium. Where is it? Well, there's one in Point Pleasant, and there's one down in Camden. I want to go see the Battleship New Jersey. It is in New Jersey, by the way. How do I get there? You know, I mean, I want to
remember talk about this app, and it seems like
well, they're doing it, and we're
ago.
saying is what about the winery in New Egypt? Why can't they're having a festival? Where is it? How do I get there? I want to go peach picking. Where do I go? We have not done. You know, I'm a golfer. Or at least I try to play golf. We go down to Myrtle Beach a couple times a year. Why? Myrtle Beach is the haven for golf. Well, so's New Jersey. Why don't we have it where if someone comes in and stays in Ocean and Monmouth County, that they can play all the public courses, all the county courses in Ocean and Monmouth County for a discount? I mean, I can play a course down in Myrtle Beach for $50, get a cart, get 2 beers and lunch. Why can't I do that in Monmouth County and in Ocean County? And what about our bed and breakfasts? What about places to stay and entertainment for what I'm doing? We don't sell that. We got great restaurants. We got great places to stay, and we have great things to do. We don't sell enough of it. It's a multi-million, billion-dollar industry, and we've got some problems with it. I take a look at the shore region. Seaside is struggling to come back. You can still go down there and see that there's a lot of areas that need help. You drive on Toms River on 37 heading east. You see pristine areas that should be developed. I just was out in California for a legislative thing, and we saw in San Diego where they built boardwalks and shops and restaurants, and people flock to it. Why isn't that part of that? Why do we see abandoned buildings or trailers off their wheels standing there in an area that could be viable for businesses and jobs and everything else?
The irony of it is that, you know, we had one of the pioneer branding, Perfect Together, and it just kind of disappeared. And that was kind of an incentive for business owners and for people in the tourist business to want to live up to that, you know, and it doesn't exist right.
Well, we've got to take every town and look at where we can maximize what's happening. I told you before, there was a very bright young man I know by the name of Mark Kotsis. Mark had an idea when he talked about downtown Downtown Observer and said, why don't we take some of these stores and subsidize artists to go in there and have galleries and create that artist issue. People come down and want to walk around the galleries, and therefore they want to have a glass of wine, they want to eat dinner, they want to do something, and create a need to come in Downtown Observer that isn't at the mall and is similar to the Red Bank antique, artistic type of thing. Well, nothing can ever happen with that. But those are the type of creative ideas we have to look. What does that do? It creates people wanting to come here, people want to vacation here, people want to spend time here, people spending their money here. We are in tough economic shape in this state. We have to maximize what we have. We have the most beautiful shorelines in the entire country. We have a great area for tourism, and we're not maximizing.
But you love your district, I know that.
Love the district, love the counties. Ocean and Monmouth County, best place to live in the world.
Senator Bob Singer, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Always a
Ask
pleasure.
the Senator is a presentation of the Shore News Division of Town Square Media, New Jersey. Our producer is Zach Collins. Audio, video, and digital coordinators Tom Tremblay and Bradley James. Programming consultant is Steve Arlino. The Vice President of Town Square Media, New Jersey News Operations is Eric Scott. I'm Tom Mongello. Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to Ask the Senator, a presentation of WOBM News on News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310, and WOBMAM.com. WOBM Lakewood Township, WADB Asbury Park. Live from the Preferred Home Healthcare Studio, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Clouds rolling in, showers on the way. Tom Mongello, WOBM News. Looks like Belmar taxpayers